here's the thing. Mitchell Pritchett also doesn't have friends, because in the last video I talked about how Cam Pritchett Tucker doesn't have friends. Mitchell Pritchett also doesn't have friends. Why doesn't Mitchell Pritchett have friends? A, because he's married to Cam. He's married to Cam. So Mitchell and Cameron have the only friends that we see really in the show, other than that one episode where Claire meets up with her old work buddy, and they go out for lunch, and the work buddy actually is just actively trying to make Claire feel bad about her life. That one, yeah. That's the only time we really see Claire having friends. We don't see most of these people having friends except maybe Phil, but again, with Phil, it is an enemy situation, but Mitchell and Cam are the only ones who consistently have friends in the show. But Mitchell, because he's married to Cam, doesn't get to have these friends to himself, A, or B, in a way that could be considered healthy. Now, that is blamed on the gay culture of the show. They're catty, they're bitchy, they gossip behind each other's backs, and no one's better at that than Cam. But we do get to see that Mitchell would be the one who's trusted among these guys if given the chance, okay? So again, there's the episode where Mitchell goes out to lunch with his friend who got the leg implants, like the calf implants. Remember that guy who was trying to become the living embodiment of Ken, and he got calf implants and arm implants and shoulder implants? Remember that guy? What happened to that guy? A lot of people in Hollywood now look like that guy, but remember him? Anyways, that being said, so Mitchell goes to talk to him, and the guy's like, you can't tell anyone about this. And Mitchell, while judging this guy, is like, yeah, no, I won't tell anyone. And then he tells Cam, because the issue is that Mitchell also is married. Honestly, that's the issue. You can't tell someone who's married a secret if you don't want them to tell their spouse, because even if they don't want to tell their spouse, if they're not particularly great at keeping secrets, that secret's not going to get kept. And Mitchell isn't particularly great at keeping secrets from Cam, because Cam will harass him until he finds out. Okay? So, you got that. That entire thing happens, and the part that gets to me with it is we see that Mitchell, if he weren't married to Cam, could potentially be a good friend, because Mitchell wouldn't have told Teddy, or if Mitchell did tell Teddy, Mitchell and Teddy could laugh about it. Like, if Mitchell were married to Teddy instead of married to Cam, Mitchell and Teddy would laugh about it. Mitchell and Teddy would, like, have an entire thing about it, but Mitchell and Teddy probably wouldn't tell anybody else, because Teddy is nice, which is also why Teddy would never have worked on this show, because this is a show about people who are kind of actively not nice, which is what makes the show funny, but also is what makes the show so easy to analyze for days and days and days on end. I will never stop thanking it for doing this for me, because I can just keep going. But the thing is, Mitchell also doesn't have friends, because no one in the show is written to be able to have friends outside of the family, because this is a close, compact family. So it's like in Friends, when none of the friends have friends, because if any of the friends in Friends had friends outside of the friends, then what happens? They would have storylines outside of the friends, and when that happens, those storylines end up with, like, the friends having to, I don't know why it's so bright right here. Those storylines tend to end with those friends losing said friends, like when Rachel goes out with Winona Ryder, and Rachel is trying to tell Phoebe about how she made out with Winona Ryder in college, and for some reason Phoebe just actively refuses to believe Rachel over this situation that is pretty typical for college girls to go through. Even the actually straight ones, like Rachel, who's really not into girls, go through it, because it's just like, wouldn't it be funny if we made out? Like, yeah, it's how you figure out if you're bi or full-on gay, but it's also, that's why I figured it out. But it's also how you figure out if you're straight. You make out with your friends. You practice making out with your friends. Anyways, that being said, Rachel's telling Phoebe this, and Phoebe's going, sure, sweetie, I believe you. Totally. And so Rachel's trying to get Winona Ryder to admit that they made out, because Rachel wants Winona Ryder to admit it, because Winona Ryder is full on gaslighting Rachel, because Rachel's like, no, this happened, and Winona Ryder doesn't want to admit it, because Winona Ryder is actually gay, and it's the 90s, it's a very up in the air time to be out and proud, okay? There's either a do or a don't, and Winona Ryder is part of the type of society where the do would become a don't let them enter the party type of situation. You get me? You hear me? You feel me? I lost my point. But anyways, the friends and friends can't have friends outside of the friends and friends, because if the friends and friends had friends outside of the friends and friends, then the storylines just start becoming about the friends outside of the friends and friends, and the friends and friends have to have storylines with the friends and friends. And that's also with the family in Modern Family. The family in Modern Family can't have friends outside of the family in Modern Family, because when the family in Modern Family has friends outside of the family in Modern Family, then that storyline becomes more about the family outside of Modern Family than the family inside of Modern Family, which is why we don't often see friends outside of the family in Modern Family. Say that sometimes, 10 times. Okay, anyways, coffee made. Gonna go shopping.